for the nation to agree on a way out of this mammoth national crisis. Second step, national dialogue. We envisage sincere and honest dialogue among Zimbabweans to locate a prudent exit point out of this monumental national crisis. As such a credible, bankable, legitimate process of dialogue, fully guaranteed by the international community with specific deliverables, benchmarks and timelines through a mutually agreed and acceptable facilitator is a must. Third step, national transitional mechanism. The sincere dialogue must yield an agreed framework and agreed position that must spare this country from the current political and economic gridlock arising out of the stolen electoral result. The terms and details around this national transitional mechanism must be fully agreed around the dialogue table. So as the MDC, we are not clearly not calling for a return to the GNU or the Global Political Agreement that was done in 2009. We are asking for a process around the national transitional mechanism. Fourth point, comprehensive reform agenda. Zimbabwe requires comprehensive reforms that include political, economic, security, legal, media, and electoral reforms. A robust reform agenda will have to be implemented as a prelude to posing the country towards a genuinely free and fair and credible electoral process. Last step, step number 5, free and fair elections. The holding of a truly free and fair credible election is paramount to Zimbabwe. It is only such an election that will retain the confidence and legitimacy that the country sorely needs so that it can take its rightful place among the family of nations. It thus answers to the legitimate question that has dogged the country, especially since 2000. The MDC firmly believes that this roadmap will address the deeper crisis of legitimacy that has brought the country and its citizens to the despicable plumbing depths of penury, starvation, and suffering. So that ends this press statement. We'll be able to take questions or comments or points of clarification. You can also direct some of them to my colleague Gladys, who is here.
Thank you, MDC Spokesperson, for articulating the party's position on the first anniversary of electoral coverage. Any questions? Yes? We're taking 3 at a time. Yes, first person.
Thank you. My name is Leo from newszimbabwe.com. We welcome your clarity when you say that you are not looking for a GNU but a National Transitional Authority. So, my question is, what are we to do? How are we supposed to interpret statements by the party president that she has shared previously? Like that. How do we interpret such statements as the media?
Next question. There was a question in the back. Okay. Yes.
My name is from I see that you're mainly dwelling much on the stolen election. Do you really think maybe that's what people out there are really concerned about? That's what happened? Because I think maybe the signal we're getting is people might have maybe forgotten or maybe gone past the election phase, how the election was stolen. But people are mainly concerned on what is UNDC is going to offer them going forward, particularly with regards to the transitional authority which you are advocating for. If you approach Zambia, definitely Zambia obviously they are saying they've done so, but you have not really come forward to talk to engage them.
Yes, third question.
Yeah, something 1 year later, as the country's main opposition, always the alternative. What have you done to ensure that Zimbabwe returns to normalcy?
I think on the issue of Komanya Nechitanda, I think there is always a context to some of these statements in a political rally and so on. But in this particular context, we are talking about the specific way forward in terms of the country. And as a Congress resolution, this is the position of the party that we are implementing, and is represented through the 5 steps that we have in the relog document. So Advocate Nelson Chamisa is fully subscribing to the 5 steps that are represented in the relog document as a leader and also as a member of the MDC. Also, in terms of the stolen elections and the public opinion, the MDC is the most organized public institution in Zimbabwe today in terms of structures of representation. There is really no serious competition to us. So when we are making party position, we use our structures and platforms, guided by the constitution of the party, guided by the recent Congress resolutions, guided by meetings of the National Executive Council or National Executive Committee, National Council, guided by the National Standing Committee and other structures that we have. So when you are making a position, it is based on consultation process. We do not necessarily use social media to come up with public party position. We use our elected representatives and structures. So we're in continual consultation. And our position is our position as a party, based on the elected leaders of our structures. So as far as they are concerned right now, the big story in the country today is that Zimbabwe is stranded, Zimbabwe is stuck because of a stolen election. That is the biggest story, the crisis of legitimacy. We do not have a popularly elected president in Zimbabwe. We have someone who, through a weak electoral system, manipulated the result. So as far as we are concerned, unless and until we address this political question, Zimbabwe is not going to go forward. And in this past year, every Zimbabwean knows that the country is not progressed. In any case, it has regressed. Any Zimbabwean can tell you that. You don't need to be a political scientist to see the decline, the rapid decline of the country in terms of social, economic, and political and human rights situation. So we are going in circles as a country. And unless and until we resolve the issue of legitimacy, we will not move forward. And the MDC, that's why we have come up with these 5 steps to ensure that we help Zimbabwe move forward. We are a key stakeholder in this country, so we are free to come up with our own position. Everyone else has a right to have their opinion on how the country should move forward. But the reload steps that we have shared earlier on are the clear position of the MDC in terms of the way forward of the country. It also answers the question around what have we done to return the country to normalcy. As you might be aware, we try to follow the due process of the law in the Constitutional Court. We have also proceeded also to consult with our members and structures. We've also been engaging the international community. There are different levels of engagement we have embarked upon. And as someone was talking about dialogue, ZANU-PF invited us to Poland, and we wrote a long letter explaining why we cannot be part of that Poland process. And one of the obvious key points is that we need an all-inclusive process. Zimbabwean crisis is so big that it cannot be reduced into the hands of political parties. So one of the major weaknesses of the Poland process is that it's just focusing on people who contested in the election last year. We want an all-inclusive approach. Another major problem is that ZANU-PF or ED is part of the problem, but they are also facilitating the process. So they cannot resolve the problem when they are part of the problem. So we need a mediator. We need a mediated process. We need to come together and agree who can facilitate that. And at every point of history of Zimbabwe, whether it is in 1979 at Lancaster House, in 1987 with the Unit Accord, in 2009 with the Global Political Agreement, we know that for Zimbabwe to come up with a breakthrough, there was a mediated process. So we want to take Zimbabwe forward through a process that is all-inclusive and neutralized. Right now, as MDC, we do not recognize the Poland process is highly compromised, and it is a waste of national resources and time. We will not participate in the Poland process. We want a broader process. I'll ask Gladys she has got any further comments.
I just wanted, I think that was quite comprehensive actually. I just wanted to emphasize, why we are centering on the legitimacy question. I think we need to understand that Zimbabwe, is actually suffering from a legitimacy crisis. That is the center of the problem. That is the core of the problem. What you're talking about in terms of the socio-economic issues, which are in any case highlighted in our statement, these are manifestations. And we don't need to be focusing on manifestations. We need to understand where the problem comes from. The problem is political, and it has always been political since 2000. That is the issue that we need to be tackling and actually coming up with solutions. If we do not deal with the center of the problem, with the core of the problem, the heart of the problem, and then deal with the manifestations, we are not doing justice to the resolution of the Zimbabwe crisis. This is why in our reload we emphasize that the core problem is the legitimacy question. So it's important for people to understand, this particular point. I also wanted to aid on what we are doing to respond to the problem that we have. From an international relations perspective, we have been engaging various stakeholders in the region, including Southern African Development Community as well as the African Union on this particular issue. We have written communications that Zimbabwe poses a peace and security threat to the region. It's not stable. The country is not stable. I think we have seen reactions that are happening within ZANU-PF itself, but also the socio-economic issues that we've been talking about. The rising discontent among its citizens. People are willing to get into the streets and exercise their right is enshrined by Section 59 of the Constitution. And we know how the regime responds usually around these issues. We saw what happened on August 1, we saw what happened in January. And so we have been raising these issues with the region with a view of making sure that the region intervenes and be proactive rather than wait for the situation to further deteriorate. So these are some of the things that we are doing from an international relations perspective to build pressure, which is actually one of the first signposts, building pressure, diplomatic and political pressure against this regime.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. My name is Fanny Mafumo. I wanted to ask in terms of corruption. Recently, Advocate Chabani Mpofu, one of your lawyers, commented on the arrest, on the illegal detention of Mupfumira. But MDC has been quiet on the illegal detention of Mupfumira in 21 days. I wanted to know the party's position because this might set, some are saying it might set a precedent if one of your members are arrested, then detained 21 days. But you seem to, you are a democratic party, you represent everyone, regardless of their political affiliation. So, but MDC has been quiet on the detention of Mupfumira. I wanted to ask the party's position.
Thank you. Let's start with the issue around corruption. I think every Zimbabwean who's been following the history of this country since 1980 knows that in the last 40 years there's been a litany of major scandals, and in most instances the ZANU-PF government has failed to fully resolve the issues around those scandals. The government has no credibility in terms of addressing corruption in the country. What we have learned in the last 40 years is that corruption is used as part of the political game at factional level of ZANU-PF. In fact, someone might say this is a new dispensation, which, by the way, we do not agree as MDC that there is a new dispensation, because the so-called new dispensation is exactly a replica, if not worse, of the so-called old dispensation. We know for certain that when it took over, he promised that all those who externalize foreign currency should be given an amnesty to return the money, and a public list was supposed to be done and follow-ups were supposed to be done. But today, almost 2 years later, can anyone clearly see any pattern of seriousness in addressing that issue of externalization of foreign currency? Who has been arrested? Who has been convicted? A lot of people who were presumed to have externalized foreign currency never responded to the amnesty. But up to today, no one has been brought to book. So ZANU-PF has no moral capacity to fight corruption because it is the source of corruption. The current clamp down that we have seen is clearly another factionalized approach. It's a very, very selective in terms of the victimization of the people that are being arrested. It's an internal process of ZANU-PF in terms of resolving their own leadership issues. When we come to a stage where we want to fight corruption, we need to question the credibility of such institutions as ZAC. Because as you might be aware, ZAC is already compromised in terms of its composition, in terms even of its chairperson. Some of these people they've got close relationships, even marital relationships, with some of the top leaders of ZANU-PF. And that really makes it difficult. And then from a legal and constitutional and institutional framework, we truly need an independent commission to fight against corruption that is not going to be manipulated by the political parties at play. So as MDC, we are not getting carried away with this recent arrest. Also, these threats about some of our leaders being corrupt, this is just a public speculation, and we are not under any compulsion to respond to such mere public speculation. But if ever there is an arrest, we are not saying that MDC leaders are immune to arrest. If due process of the law is followed, obviously we will respect that. But as far as we are concerned, our top leaders of the MDC are not corrupt people. As far as we are concerned, we have got credible leaders who are going to help Zimbabwe move forward. So for now, I think we'll wait and see. With regards to the so-called MDC lawyer advocate, Tabani Mpofu, I just need to be clear that he is not an MDC lawyer. Whatever statement he issues in public is not in any way related to the position of the MDC. So whatever position he shared has nothing to do with the MDC. He's not our lawyer. Like any other professional legal practitioner, at some instance he might be hired by members of our party or by our party, but it doesn't make him our lawyer. So let's be very clear on that one. So whatever public pronouncement is making, they have nothing to do with the MDC. Added to that, we have a legal affairs secretary, Honorable Gonese, and he issued a statement chairman this week around this whole situation. And one of the major issues that the MDC is raising is about the compliance to the 2013 Constitution. And that is an area, a lacuna that we need to address, because those laws that are being used, they are clearly in violation and not consistent with the 2013 Constitution. And the recent arrests and the recent detention speak to the fact that we need to make sure that all the statutes, all the laws of this country are now in sync with the 2013 Constitution as amended. And our legal affairs secretary will push, even through the parliamentary caucus, to make sure that there is compliance with the 2013 Constitution and its expectations, the spirit of the law. With regards to the first anniversary of the protests, 1 August 2018 protests, I think all of you are aware that a commission of inquiry was set up, headed by Chairman Mhlandi, the former president of South Africa. And as an MDC, under protest, we fully submitted ourselves to that commission of inquiry. Our president, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, accompanied by other senior party leaders, managed to submit themselves to the commissioners. We also know that the commission has issued a public report, a comprehensive report, with a series of recommendations to address the issue. And up to today, we are actually surprised that most of those recommendations have not yet been implemented. And if the government was serious about human rights in Zimbabwe, they will be implementing those recommendations. So as the MDC, we are obviously reiterating our call that the commission report, the recommendations of the report must be implemented so that we show our seriousness as a country. Also related to that, we also know that in January there was a repetition where the army was unleashed onto the public. We also know that the internet was shut down. We also know that there were multiple arrests. We also know that a lot of citizens were killed. They were murdered by state, by army. And up to today, no one has really been held accountable. In any case, since January, we have had at least 20, if not 21, arrests in terms of subversion. We've seen a serious clampdown in terms of political and human rights advocacy that are seen not to be supporting ZANU-PF. So the end story is that in the last year, under the EPD regime, we have seen a worsening in terms of human rights and a blatant disrespect of human rights, and also a suppression of political dissent and closing down of democratic space. We are worse off today than we were a year ago in terms of human rights and democratic space. I think I've tried to answer most of the questions.
Another burning question?
Okay. The MDC has got proper structures according to its constitution, and the most important of which is the Congress. In our recent Congress, we discussed the crisis of legitimacy and we made resolutions. The resolutions that inform the recently launched reload document. And if you take a second look again on the reload document, this document, you will see that the MDC is recommending 5 steps. And the first step is what? Diplomatic and political pressure. So it is a Congress resolution, the highest decision-making body of the MDC, that there's got to be a massive increase of political and diplomatic pressure so that we go to the next stage, which is what? All-inclusive political dialogue. So as far as we are concerned, we are implementing the biggest decision-making body resolution, which is what? We must raise up the political temperature in terms of pressure. So, as the MDC was very clear on that one, both diplomatically and politically, we are going to do that. The process is what we should be talking about. But in terms of the position, I know there was a media report either today or yesterday that the leadership of the MDC is divided about the way forward. I need to state it in uncertain terms and unequivocally so, that there is no faction whatsoever in the MDC leadership. There is no division whatsoever. We are all united on the implementation of the Congress resolution as represented by the 5 steps under the reload process. So all leaders of the MDC are clear on that one, that we need to step up political pressure, both political and also diplomatically. So there is no division. We are right now engaged on the process, on the nitty-gritties, which as an organization, we reserve the right to finalize, and then at the right time, we will publicly declare. But we are very clear that Section 59 of the Constitution allows us to demonstrate and present petitions in a very peaceful manner. We are going to take advantage of our own constitution as law-abiding citizens in this country. So we are very clear on that one. The debate whether we'll be successful or not, I don't think is something that we can discuss. It's mere speculation. But what we know is that there is a standing Congress resolution, and under our roadmap process, we are definitely going to apply pressure. There is no debate. We are clear. We are going to apply pressure. How? You will see the details. But we are definitely doing that.
All the international communities meeting and
Okay, yeah, we had not answered that question. Firstly, I just wanted to go back to the August 1st issue, because I think this August 1st was very significant because it shook the world, it shook the nation, but it was also, the time that even those that had begun warming up to the regime and warming up to this whole fake new dispensation narrative, they begin to saw that they could see that the new dispensation narrative was actually a facade. The military factor that has always been at the center of the challenges that we face politically in Zimbabwe resurfaced, and for everyone to see. And like the spokesperson was saying, the Molokele Commission came in. It was a cover-up because the recommendations have not been implemented up to this day. Going to the issue of whether our diplomatic pressure has yielded any results, I just want to make reference to the Zambian mission that we had as a party, where we dispatched a delegation to go and sit with regional leaders and share with them the situation in Zimbabwe. Like I indicated, we think that it's a threat to security in the region, and regional leaders must be able to intervene. And I think we got positive results. The Sunday Mail in the Herald had reported that SB Moyo was going there to make sure that they are congratulated. If you still remember, in the last SADC summit, they had not been given official congratulations for winning in courts, the election, because the issues were still before the courts. And the anticipation was that that particular SADC that meeting, that troika on politics, defense, and security, was then going to deal with that issue. But clearly, if you go and read the opening remarks that were made by Dr. Tex, who is the Executive Secretary of SADC, as well as the opening remarks that were given by Minister Malanji, who is the chairperson of organ from Zambia. Even if you look at the communique itself, it doesn't mention Zimbabwe at all in terms of the countries that were congratulated for conducting, successful elections, and the political parties that were, congratulated for winning election. And I think for us, that is actually, it's actually testament to the fact that the region is actually, listening to what the MDC is saying in terms of the issues that are bedeviling Zimbabwe and the legitimacy crisis that continues to face the nation. Of course, again, when we came back from that Zambian mission, the state media tried again to lie, but I think we were able to expose that lie because it's a lie, and those documents are there for everyone to see at the SADC website. You actually see that Zimbabwe is not the other countries that had elections post Zimbabwe, like South Africa, were actually congratulated, but Zimbabwe was not on that list at all.
Thank you, Secretary for International Relations. Another question? Another question? I think what is only left is for me to thank you.